What is going on, everyone? This is your host, Rob. Welcome to another episode of From My Experience podcast.
Whoop, whoop.
Is that gonna... Is whoop whoop your new thing?
Yeah. Woot woot.
I don't like it. We have
Oh
Biff.
my goodness.
I don't. What? I'm just being honest. You know we keep it real.
Come on.
Now we have a special guest with us today, Mr. James Roberts. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much for having me on your show.
So, do our audience a favor. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, a little bit about myself. I'm from a military background, so I think that's how I got that initial love for sport coming off. And then kind of to cut short, long story short, I went on to represent my country at 2 Paralympic Games.
Wow.
That's really dope.
What is the hardest part about training?
Well, I think if we put it into context, probably this time of the year, the winter is probably the hardest part of training because it's motivating yourself on those dark, dingy days.
Now, Biff was an athlete. She thought she was good. Biff, what about you? Can you relate to that? Did the weather affect your training at all?
Other than it being too cold for you just want to leave the house, like the motivation to get up in the morning. But no, all my sports were inside except for one. But that's played during the summertime, so.
So what sport do you primarily engage in?
Back then at elite sport, it would have been the sport of rowing and volleyball, but I actually started out initially as a swimmer.
Oh, my kid likes to swim.
And what drew you to those sports?
Well, initially swimming was because my mother wanted to find a sport that I could be on a certain even playing field, so to speak, with my everybody peers, and that was really the only one out there. And then kind of going on to rowing and volleyball, it came down to I'd made the development squad. Gosh, how long would this have been? About 15 years ago now. I'd gone off to university, and within a space of 3 months was dropped from the program because at that level you've got to hit times every season, and unfortunately for me that wasn't the case. Okay. And I thought coming back after the Christmas holidays I'd be coming back to be a regular student, but our performance director in Wales had kind of other ideas, and he spoke to me on the phone and kind of brought this prospect of doing rowing. So I was quite close to my family anyway, so I spoke to them after that call and say, what's your thoughts on me doing this new sport? My mum said to me, well, you could be very good at it or absolutely useless. And well, fortunately for me, it kind of turned out for the best, and it was more to the latter.
Oh, great. You got any championships or anything like that under your belt from competitions in any of your sports?
I've got like a few medals from like World Cup level, but in terms of how the sport looks at it because it comes around every year, it's kind of like the lower echelons of the sport. So in terms of World Championships and Paralympic medals, unfortunately not.
Well, you have some achievements because I have none. So I got no trophies. I got perfect attendance certificates for my kids to look at.
Jeez.
Oh,
well, I got
God.
playoffs and championships.
All right, so outside of sports, what else are you into? What do you do for fun?
I think because I'm a sporty person, to a certain extent, maybe less so now I'm a little bit older, it still does revolve around sport, but a little bit less so, maybe still watching it. It's probably going to be, with it being the Winter Olympics now on television, it's going to be a little bit, with time difference as we spoke about it, off air, that's going to be difficult with it being in Asia, so I'm going to try and catch as much of that as is, well, possible, but that's probably not going to be easy as if it was in the US or say Europe. And then other than that, spending time with family, trying to get outdoors as much as possible.
Yep. I can definitely understand that, man. It's always hard in general just to find other things to do outside of what you're particularly interested in. Like, I'm a video gamer, I'm a podcaster, but I always try to branch out and try to do things outside of that. But it just seems like everything I try to do is always related back to that or linked to that. So who are some of your favorite athletes?
Oh, if we go back, I think growing up, because I didn't say at the beginning of the show. I've also got that half. My father's side of the family is American, so I've got that influence of probably college sports, professional sports. So, well, I'm a New York Knicks fan, so it's.
Oh my God.
I've had that problem of them not being very good, so it's you kind of take it off the boil. But I'm of that generation of Patrick Ewing, and when they were actually good and things like that. But it's probably just enjoying the sport as a whole, because they just seem to be creating these super teams. So there's only going to be ever, I don't know, 3-4 teams in the mix. So it's just enjoying the sport and whatnot. I probably would have preferred it going back to the old days of the, say, early 90s, mid 90s.
Yeah.
Where they wanted to compete against each other, but that's maybe just how sport is going now.
Yeah. I mean, sports are cool. I'm not really huge into sports like I used to be. I watch a little basketball. I'm really a huge football fan, though. Love my Eagles. We just won the Super Bowl. I don't know if y'all, well, you know what football is. What's wrong, Biff? Why are you breathing like that?
Nothing wrong. Go ahead, celebrate.
I'm not celebrating. It's all right. You know what's going on with the NFL. But anyway.
Yeah.
So what was
kudos to us for our year.
What year?
No football games.
Yeah, we didn't watch any football all year. Biff almost cracked at the last minute. Now, James, tell us about. So I'm looking at your bio now, and I see that you were actually born. I can't pronounce it. Femoral dysplasia.
Yeah, that's correct.
Oh, okay. Don't laugh, Biff. I got it right.
Go ahead.
So tell us more about that and kind of like what you went through.
Well, as in describe what the disability consists of.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Do you mean as in what?
Like, tell us, what does it consist of and how it's affected you? Because I mean, it's amazing. Like, I'm reading it, but it's like, and I'm looking at some of the things you've done and you're doing, and hell, I couldn't do some of that stuff now.
The easier way of explaining that, Robert, would be well, in most cases I say it's similar to an amputation. However, the actual thing, if I can get this right now, I do not have a femur bone, so I don't have the top half of the bone in my legs or the thigh. Okay. I've got a small tibia and fibula, which would be the lower half of the leg. No knee joints. I've got a floating hip, which would be, to explain that, is I don't have the actual socket itself, so it's just the ball floating in muscle. So to kind of summarize that, it would be the lower half of the leg attached to the hip. So it's quite difficult to explain, to actually visualize, but that's why I say a lot of times I just say it's similar to an amputation, and I think people can get the gist of it from that. I obviously have to wear a prosthetic leg.
Okay, gotcha.
But to answer your question, how has it affected me from growing up perspective and how I dealt with it? I don't think it's really affected me. Maybe a little bit so when I was a teenager, but then I think everybody goes through one struggle or another at that time during that time period.
Yep.
But then if we go back to maybe when I was younger, not really. I would try. I would maybe look to be more adaptable to my environment and try to look at how can I tweak certain things that I'm not excluded, so to speak, and I've kind of been that way inclined, thinking wise, from a young age. So I will reflect on, well, I might sit on the side and be observant and look, well, they're doing it this way. That's not feasible for me. How can I adapt it and implement a certain way that it would make it obviously possible for me and within, I don't know, if I use the analogy, and it's a good one I bring up quite a few times for story-wise, is that I would have been probably early elementary school, and I've been in the playground and seeing the other friends and peers on the monkey bars, and my family told me they could see me sitting on the side and kind of having the cogs going around in my head, I guess, trying to work it out. Well, how can I adapt that simple task and probably mundane as I look at it now as an adult?
Right.
And I think within 2 to 3 days, I would be back playing with them as well. So I think I've been that way inclined throughout my life and say, well, how can I adapt this certain circumstance, whatever challenge, whatever you name it, so I'm not excluded from the actual environment.
So you took it upon yourself to basically observe and watch, engage based off your own abilities. You know, can I do this or can I do that? Have you ever found anything that was a little too difficult that you couldn't do?
Probably as a child or a teenager, no, because I think I'm that way inclined. I'm going to take on this challenge head on, and if you say, so to speak, I can't do it, I'm going to go out and prove you wrong. Whereas I think maybe as an adult, I will look at it in a different light and say, well, do I really have to do it? Is it going to gain anything by doing it? But I think you've got a different shift in mindset. Whereas I think when you're younger, you do want to challenge what the status quo is, so to speak.
Of course, you always want to challenge that, man. You always want to challenge that, and I commend you for your bravery, man. And I know kids can be cruel sometimes. Did you have to deal with any bullying or teasing?
Well, thinking off the top of my head, probably not. I had quite a close knit friends. It may have happened, but it might be more, so to speak, teasing. You could associate it to probably a form of bullying, but to the actual essence of the word, probably not.
Mm-hmm. I got you. Biff, and I know you had some questions for him.
Yeah, actually, I just, we know the serious side, the professional side. I think some of my questions.
She wants to get personal.
Personal, just for the ladies. I know. Yeah. Just a couple questions I could get to know you question. Let me see. If you died right now, what would your tombstone say?
Oh, it's not an easy question.
What the? What an icebreaker! I'm using that on my next date.
I don't know. That's I would hope that I've made an impression on people, be it from maybe, I know family and friends are gonna miss me, but in terms, I've made an impression from a maybe inspiration or motivational point of view, that if I was able to do it and maybe look at it, well, having a disability is not going to hold you back, but you need to look at life in a grand scheme of things. You could look at it 2 ways. If it's meant to be, and if you've got nothing to lose, you just go out there and try your best. It's a difficult question to answer, but I hope that I was an influential person to some degree.
So you're just gonna put like GOAT on your tombstone, right?
I'm more humble. I'm more humble than that.
Why?
It's okay.
He's a GOAT.
Wait, yeah, it's okay to be proud. What is your favorite type of music?
it's definitely changed down the years, but I would still say probably hip hop and R&B
Hey,
and that genre.
who's your favorite hip hop artist?
Now it's
Right now,
it's quite difficult because it's very much. I would say there's not much difference between them because I think there's that so much mixture between, say, pop has had an influence within the music, so it's in terms of what would I listen to. I think I think maybe because I'm a little bit older and the stuff is more freely accessible now. I would say probably stuff that's in the charts, whereas in the past you would probably
top 40.
Probably something like that.
Okay.
So you don't have a particular artist that you prefer over another? Like my
Not
favorite.
really, not anymore.
Okay.
If you could travel anywhere, where would you go?
Probably somewhere warm.
California, man. Have you been to the States?
I've been to the States, what is it now, 3 times because my father's based in Washington State, so I've been over that way like 3 or 4 times in my lifetime.
Okay.
What was the last picture you took in your phone?
Last picture. What, as in of me or something else?
Whatever the last picture is in your phone.
Last time I took a picture, it'd be yesterday.
What is it? Is you smiling?
Yeah, this is more like it's like a selfie. So,
Did you post it?
I'm smiling a lot of the time. It's people say, well, how can you be so photogenic? But I think we kind of go back to when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably, if the camera come out, it's probably more. You could say I was a bit of a poser. So that's probably. I've never lost that childlike essence of the camera's coming out. Let's be smile. It's probably more difficult because you become more conscious of the camera. But I think if it's me taking the picture, I don't care. It's a camera.
Have you ever lied about being sick so you didn't have to work out?
That sounds like one of your lies, Bill.
Have I ever lied to miss it? No, because you're gonna get. I think at that level you're gonna get found out anyway. No, I think you probably they'll because a lot of things with medical things they'll send you. Well, not send you to the doctor. You got to speak to the doctor to go through the checklist. Well, how bad is your symptoms? And they'll say, is it a head cold or is it a normal cold? And there's different parameters in terms of, even if you feel fine within yourself, they'll say, well, if it's this, yes, you can train. If it's that, we'd advise you to take it easy and have a few days off. But in terms of skipping training because I'm sick, it's never happened.
Do you know your blood type?
I'm assuming it's O negative.
What in the Biff? Where are these questions?
That was interesting. That was an interesting question. What is the best compliment you ever received?
Oh, compliment.
It's probably when he asked to be on the podcast and I said yes. Because, I mean, everybody.
It's probably compliment-wise. It's because I'm quite humble. It's when people do talk about the prestige that you've achieved, and they say, "Why don't you talk about it?" But I think because, as you know, Biff, as an athlete, you kind of move season to season, and it's kind of once it's done, the season's over, you forget about it and you kind of move on to the next one because you can't be stagnant and be, how would I word this? Be celebratory in terms of that moment in time because you're going to get left behind. So I think people are. I don't mind people boasting about it, so to speak, on my behalf, but I won't be one to do it. Blow my own trumpet myself.
Now,
Okay.
how is your dating life?
It's okay.
You got a special lady in your life right now? We got to dig into it because we talk about relationships and relationship advice a lot on our show. We cover a myriad of topics, but that's one of the things we talk about.
Yeah, I've got a special someone at the moment.
Yay! Are you preparing for Valentine's Day?
Yeah.
Boo! Why? Oh my God! Okay. So you believe in Valentine's Day? You don't think it's stupid and pointless? Yep.
You can look at it. You can look at it on a flip of a coin. Yes, I would agree with you that it's pointless because it's a it's a bit like Christmas.
It's a commercial
Easter and
holiday.
whatnot. It's become a marketing tool, but obviously you gotta show that appreciation to that's your significant other. Okay, this is probably one that my father brings up. Well, it's only one day. Shouldn't you do it 365 days of the year?
Thank you. That's what I say. It's a wise man. So what do you? No, go ahead. Sorry.
So I think it's looking at that. Yes, it's more. I think I probably would agree. You need to look at it. That you need to appreciate that other person all year round, not just that one particular day because it's on the calendar.
So
what's on your?
Go ahead,
Go
Biff.
ahead. You go, Bill.
I was gonna ask, what do you have planned for her on Valentine's Day? So what do you?
No!
What? I told you to go ahead and you let me go.
It's a surprise.
She's not listening to this show. She's not gonna know.
It's still ironing out the kinks and see what trying to get it all sorted and what we now still got another few days, so just making sure everything is in place.
So you're gonna do flowers and candy and all that good stuff?
Yeah, probably. Yep.
That's so cute.
I'm not doing nothing. I'm gonna be drinking beer and watching Netflix. Biff, what are you doing on Valentine's?
I was just told to. What? Mind your business.
Wait, you were doing... Oh, now you can't talk? All right. I think we're reaching our time limit. I don't want to hold you up. James, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your story. Biff, you got any last minute questions?
No. If you had a perfect pizza, what are your toppings?
I'm not that fussed. As long as it's food, I'll eat it.
No, what is on your perfect pizza? You can't humble your way out of pizza toppings. You can be real with us.
I'd say perfect one. Probably. Well, the easiest one is something like pepperoni or something like that. Going back to obviously we didn't touch upon what I'm doing now, but it probably includes one bed. I'm trying to get that 5 a day on something that is quote unquote not healthy for you, but
Biff, what are you doing?
Sorry.
We can hear all of that. This man trying to tell you about his pizza. Jeez. Sorry, go ahead. Oh, what's on your pizza? We'll wrap it up after this.
I would say probably because of my background now as a personal trainer, it probably trying to incorporate some sort of fruit, wouldn't be any fruit on it, but sort of like vegetables. But then obviously looking on the flip side, it's still an unhealthy meal, but it's just accepting that it's going to be something that you enjoy. So I'd say probably something like that.
All right, thanks. You've told us about your career, you've told us about your life, and you've told us about pizza and your love life, all thanks to Biff. Thank you for joining us. Thank you everyone for listening. Don't forget From My Experience Podcast on Instagram, YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, and Facebook. And we will catch y'all next time. Peace.
Bye.